Hey guys, welcome to SJU. We're talking about The Undoing, not officially for the episode, like right before the camera started rolling. Today, we're talking about Daredevil. Everybody's talking about Daredevil. The internet's talking about Daredevil. Television's talking about Daredevil. Our pets are talking about Daredevil. What should the MCU and Kevin Feige do with Daredevil? We're going to talk about it. And because we know that Kevin Feige listens, because he stole WandaVision from Roth, our idea will probably happen. I have a great group of folks talking Daredevil with me today. Our own Spencer J. Gilbert, who saw the first episode of Daredevil, I think.
I saw the first episode. I was not fond of it, so I did not continue. I'm kidding, Joe. I've seen Daredevil. Come on.
We have Lon Harris with us.
Hello. And I didn't like how Daredevil kept taking tranquilizers and then watching crime fighting happen on the ceiling. That was...
Yeah. it was very frustrating.
Kingpin's Gambit.
Netflix needs like more than one move. Yeah. And good evening, Kim Taylor Foster. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me again.
Kim has not seen Daredevil, but she has fought several thugs in a hallway.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. Brutal. Kim's ninja training by a blind mentor cannot be overstated enough.
Very handy with a biro.
Yeah.
Oh, that's John Wick.
Oh, what? Sorry, we only use Muggle words on the show.
All right, so let's get into this. This is some info via Deadline. So obviously the original Netflix Daredevil show starring Charlie Cox was canceled on November 29th, 2018. Under terms of the Marvel Netflix deal, Marvel Studios was unable to use the character in any of their movies or TV shows until a 2-year hold following that cancellation expired. That has come and gone as of 2 days ago. And since then, there's been a big hashtag Save Daredevil movement on the internet, calling for Charlie Cox to stay on as Matt Murdock. So let's chat all things Daredevil. I think we're on the same page. We all liked this show, except Spencer, I think.
Joe, this was the best of the Netflix. Save for, I don't know, I really liked season 1 of Jessica Jones.
That's what I was going to say. I think season 1 of Jessica Jones is my favorite, and then Daredevil.
Yeah. Come on. I don't think anybody would be upset to see Charlie Cox's Daredevil back in action in any form.
I might beg to differ, actually. For me, he was a very bland Daredevil, and I'm sorry if I'm cutting in.
Not at all.
Join us with that hot take.
Yeah.
Well, there were some of those shows that I loved, and some of those characters that I loved, and actors, and it wasn't Charlie Cox as Daredevil. My favorite were Luke Cage and The Punisher. Which we can go into later, I think, because I've got a lot to say about those. But yeah, Charlie Cox was a very bland Daredevil for me, and I'd like to see him recast in the MCU.
Was he not sad and Catholic enough?
Pretty sad and Catholic. He's pretty sad. He's very Catholic.
very Catholic. Maybe not enough for Kim though.
I'm sort of on the same page. Like, I didn't mind Charlie Cox's Daredevil, but that wasn't what stood out about that show to me. I totally agree that John Bernthal is the Punisher. Keep him perfect. Don't recast. To me, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin was like, that's what you keep about that. That he's perfect. That's a great version of Kingpin that I feel like is malleable and could work with what they're doing in the MCU, could work with other New York-based Marvel characters. Like, definitely want to get him back in the mix. And I could see him like in a continuation of this series. I think that could work, but also just throw him in, put him in the next Spider-Man movie as Kingpin and like go from there. Like, I don't really think you need to rework it all that much to just put that version of Kingpin in the Marvel continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think Charlie Cox had like a revelatory performance. He just fit, he fit the tone of the show. He fit the mood. He fit the character. I don't think the part demanded that he do much more than he did, because the Netflix Marvel things were grounded and they were kind of smaller scale. And, it actually, in retrospect, it feels like it would be a weird fit to see that kind of energy in an MCU movie, or how that would fit with a mainline MCU thing. But I'd like to give Charlie a shot. He's earned a shot.
Yeah. Well, I'm already very surprised by this panel. Well, okay. So we're we're not married to Charlie Cox as a group, it seems. So what do you do reintroducing the character? Do you start fresh? Do you use the same cast and just go, you know what, Charlie's fine and it'll make the fans happy? Or do you, to fit the tone a little more, like Spencer said, do you start from scratch?
I mean, to me, I think you could totally, if they wanted to keep this going, they could bring back some of these Netflix shows. I think the one tweak I would say, shorter seasons. You know, the 13 episode seasons is what I think dragged down basically all of these Netflix shows. Like they all, especially season 1, they all had like a great 6 to 8 episode arc of content in there, but it was buried within this extra long season that kind of wears out its welcome. I think especially like later seasons of Daredevil, this was really true of. Both 2 and 3 of Jessica Jones, I think this was true of. Certainly every season of Luke Cage. I agree that Mike Coulter was an amazing Luke Cage. I just feel like that show in particular really got dragged down by this, like, it's just overstuffed and there's like filler episodes, and if it was tighter. So like, I think if you want to bring back some of these Marvel Netflix shows, like, or bring it back on Hulu or whatever, I think that makes sense. But I would just say, like, it's a 6 episode season. It's an 8 episode season. Like, get in, get out, leaner, meaner, more intense. That's how I would do it.
Sorry, my cat's knocking my laptop off the table.
No, Sarah's welcome. I want to hear her thoughts.
Sarah, big Jessica Jones person, because she's also an alcoholic. Tim, what do you think? Do you think if they start bringing these characters back, TV's the way to go? Movies, introduce them in Spider-Man? You know, what do you think's the best sort of route forward to bring them back?
I think if they were to continue with the series and these characters, I think maybe only as cameos in the movies, because the tone of every one of those series doesn't really fit. You know, they're all pretty dark. In different ways, and the darkest characters I can think of, you know, in among the Avengers, let's say, are probably the Winter Soldier and Nebula, who both have pretty dark backstories. But otherwise, I just can't see them fitting in properly with the tone.
But you have sold me on, say, a Punisher Nebula team up movie. I don't know how you build up to that, but now I kind of want to see John Bernthal.
Punisher doesn't go to space enough.
He does, you know,
he's a guy who needs to get in outer space.
I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, like, I think a phase ago, I would have totally agreed that there's like the MCU vibe, and then there's like the down and dirty Netflix Defenders vibe, and they don't quite go. But I feel like at this point, Marvel and MCU movies, we're branching out now that we're going to have these Disney Plus shows. I think we're branching out enough to where you could figure out how to do, like, this is the gritty side of this world, and now this is like the high-tech fancy fantasy side where we don't, you know, swear or whatever. Like, I think you could sort of meet in the middle a little bit. I agree that probably to start, cameos would make sense. Like Punisher shows up for a scene and then he's gone, so you don't have to worry about him being around the whole time. But I don't know. I think over time they're clever enough. They could like fold a few different corners of this universe. They're going to have to eventually, because it's all going to have to fit into one pot at some point.
I think you make a good point. I think, you know, they've already showed that they can do quite broad humor with Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok. So why not something altogether grittier?
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like we can go to that end of the spectrum and make it like crazy and zany and wacky, and then come back to like home base. I think you could probably drift into the grittier side and then come back to home base at some point.
Well, and you get a lot of mileage from pairing, you know, your more lighthearted heroes with your more grimdark heroes. Like if you had Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up, or if you throw them, I mean, who knows what the tone of Moon Knight is going to be, but that might be something where they're worried, like, oh, it's a little too weird. We might need to throw audiences someone they recognize more to make them feel comfortable, like they know what to expect. And you could see some Defenders in there.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, they also don't have the creative challenge of, like it's hard to figure out, but like, it's not like introducing the X-Men or something like that hasn't been introduced already. Technically, they're in continuity, you know, even if that continuity was just every now and then someone goes by a pin board and there's like a newspaper clipping of the Battle of New York, even if that's the only connection, like it's still there. Technically, in the MCU's New York, there's a giant hole in the ground that leads to
right. I was just about to say, other than the big crater underneath New York, which does kind of throw a wrench into it. Like, I think a cool thing is that all of these Netflix shows, like, they would have been under the radar. You don't have those questions about, like, well, why hasn't the Punisher been helping them fight Thanos? Like, well, he wouldn't. That doesn't make any sense. They're on these different scales already, so you don't need to worry about explaining why Jessica Jones wasn't interacting with Hulk. Like, we get it. Of course they wouldn't be. So I think on that level, you kind of just get around all of that stuff. Other than, yes, the Hand has been digging a hole under New York that the Avengers at some point probably would have been wise to. Like, Doctor Strange doesn't know that's there.
The Dragon Bones?
Yeah.
Well, I think all of you are sort of putting the idea together. I love the idea of pairing and, like, introducing some of these characters or reintroducing some of these characters, the whole Defenders group, not just, beyond Daredevil. I do love the idea of introducing them in other people's movies, whether it's to give them an interesting dynamic or something like that. Do you guys have any pairings, just off the dome that you're like, hey, that would be cool?
I think when we meet Shang-Chi, he should kick a hole through Iron Fist's chest, and then the credits.
A little hand-drawn note, like Iron Fist died on his.
No, he's like, for real dead. Yeah,
he's dead. We promise, no more Iron Fist.
The voiceover from Kung Pao goes, "That's that guy's stomach blood."
Yeah, exactly.
Shang-Chi. I dig that.
I'm definitely looking forward to. I want to see Mark Ruffalo's Hulk and She-Hulk mix it up. They're cousins. That's going to be fun at some point. We'll enjoy that.
No, that absolutely needs. I'm hoping he at least shows up to just at least look tired and befuddled at some point. On that. Because I think that'll be
just like,
the Mark Ruffalo special. Give
you a transfusion of my blood? This was inevitably going to happen. Surely we've got another relative that's not gamma infused.
You could have
won't turn you into a monster. I don't know what I was thinking.
Kim, do you have any thoughts on team ups or pairings? I know you're a big Punisher fan, and like Luke Cage.
I am a big Punisher fan. I don't, but I would like to see some of the Defenders villains return, aside from Wilson Fisk, and for all Iron Fist's failings, I loved Harold Meacham. I'd love to put him into the MCU movies in some way.
Yeah, Meacham was super fun. Yeah, there were.
I would also say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there were like, for as much as I really disliked Iron Fist, there were some cool supporting characters on that show that I think are worth salvaging and placing somewhere. Shang-Chi might be a good place to do it.
I was just gonna say, can we retcon Kilgrave being dead and bring Tennant back? Because that was pretty fun too. He was great. I wouldn't mind seeing Kilgrave mix it up with a different hero at some point.
If we can keep bringing back Loki, we can bring back Tennant.
We can work amazingly in the movies.
Yeah.
I think. Well, you know what? That pairs perfectly into. I want Jessica Jones in Captain Marvel 2. I think having this weird PI like alcoholic with this lady who's still like trying to decode all of the just emotional crap that got dumped onto her, where she's like not able to properly feel things and stuff yet. Like, I think Jessica Jones is a good pairing for that. And I can't think of a better villain for, because what's the challenge for her? Like, who can beat up Captain Marvel?
Right.
Like,
that's what I was just about to say.
Is outmaneuvered her, but Kilgrave.
Right. What makes Kilgrave so potent for the MCU is you've got all these incredibly superpowered heroes, but not necessarily so mentally tough that he can't take control of them. Yeah. That's a movie right there. I mean, that's how you do it. To me, he's a very menacing villain because he could be like, well, he can send Hulk after you. Like, what are you going to do?
A challenge to me is, as much as I love John Bernthal's take, is you can keep, because I think the comics have this trouble too with Punisher, is integrating him into the larger universe. They run into problems with that all the time. Like, it's so hard to put him in a larger crossover and not have the Avengers just arrest him on sight. They always
it's that he's on the wrong side of the moral gray zone from them. But I also think it's that how do you use the Punisher when it's not like street crime focused? Like he's relevant to certain kinds of stories, which are like gang stories and shooting stories and like those kinds of ground level stories. Whereas like a guy who's really good at shooting doesn't necessarily make sense against the kinds of threats that superheroes, like he wouldn't be any extra use against Mysterio. He's just,
well, I mean, you say it, it doesn't make sense, but it could be more compelling, especially if it's from the Punisher's perspective of like, he has to take down a superhero. I mean, look at how fun The Boys has been. And that's like, oh, these kind of gritty, didn't Karl Urban play the Punisher once? Or am I confusing him with
Thomas Jane, maybe? Or
Thomas Jane, never mind. That'd be cool though. Lose the accent.
I mean, I could see Karl Urban being the Punisher, sure.
You've got Hawkeye. Is there much difference?
Yeah, right.
I would love to watch John Bernthal just murder Jeremy Renner.
Oh, are you saying team up or they're against each other?
Either way.
Either way, man.
I mean, I agree. Hawkeye doesn't really make any sense in the Avengers as pitched. He's like, Hawkeye of my arrows blow up.
Arrow versus gun, the old rivalry.
It's time to punish Hawkeye for Jeremy Renner's album. How about this? You know, can you do like a tone tweak? Not a tone tweak, really, with Punisher. Like a setting tweak and make him the straight man to Deadpool. And
sure,
yeah. You could pair those guys together. Sure,
that could be kind of fun. Well, guys, it's been a good show.
That's it. We wrap up there.
We solved it. We solved all of it.
I like the Punisher slowly becoming aware that Deadpool's talking to an audience that he can't see. Like, I feel like that would be a good vibe for them.
Yeah, getting more. Yeah, it just like because even Cable after a while could grimace or like sass back, and I like the idea of John Bernthal just not being able.
If you gave him like a trilogy of films, by that third one, it would be like Lethal Weapon, where like now they're friends.
Deadpool plus Punisher. I think is kind of fun to me.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
I would watch it. Yeah.
Let's see here. What we got in chat. Keith Pye says, sort of replying to Lon on the longer and shorter seasons problem. To be fair, most action shows do fine with some filler episodes. I think the problem was, were they doing an episodic series or a movie in 7 parts?
I agree with this. I'm not saying that conceptually there's no way to make a Marvel action show that's 13 episode seasons. Of course there is. Like I have no doubt that they could do it and do an awesome job. It's just the way they were doing it. It felt like they had like 6 to 8 episodes, and then Netflix was like, gonna need 5 more. And then they were like, okay. Like it didn't feel like it was a well-paced and balanced season. But of course, if you had different people doing it with a different strategy and a different structure, like sure, there are conceptual ways to make it work. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, sort of overall, if anyone has any closing thoughts on, dropping in the Defenders and especially Daredevil, creative ideas aside, I think it's such an easy win for Disney to just say they're all back.
Yes,
or at least Charlie Cox and D'Onofrio are back, and that cast, Rosario Dawson.
And I think what we're seeing across all comic book media and all of these properties is, and the companies are all discovering it, the studios and producers, like people just want to see actors they liked in roles they liked back. And I don't think the audience is as caught up in continuity as some of us are, and like exactly how to explain it. Like people just want what they want. Like they just want Michael Keaton to be Batman again. And like, do we have a good reason to have him back? Like, we'll figure it out.
Multiverse. And you want to get without multiverse.
We just want Jamie Foxx to have another shot at Electro. Does it make sense? Is it the same Electro? Is it a different one? Who cares? Like,
and I would be willing to bet. Yeah, like bringing Michael Keaton back is probably going to mean 2 or 3 scenes of Michael Keaton. Just like if they announce we're bringing back Charlie Cox as Daredevil, everyone will get really excited. They'll get all the goodwill, and he'll be like on the other side of the courtroom when She-Hulk is making her like closing argument, like that. DiCaprio.
I mean, we're in this era now where we've had a full generation of these movies, like since 2000 when it was like the first Spider-Man and X-Men and all that. it's now been 20 years. So like, it's inevitable that a lot of what we're going to do in this new era is going to be cherry pick stuff people liked from the last 20 years and bring it back. Mm-hmm. And that includes, I think, all of these Netflix shows that are all basically open season for that kind of thing.
Kim, who absolutely doesn't come back, in your opinion? Who's banished?
I hate to say it, and it falls into popular opinion, I think, but Iron Fist, I guess. Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. Done.
Yeah, get Danny Rand out of here. Come on.
I did like Harold Meacham, as I said. And Colleen Wing. I like Colleen.
Yeah.
She could stay. Yeah, she could stay.
All of his friends can stay.
Just not him.
Just not him. He has to absolutely go. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we solved it, and I think we'll start seeing some of these solutions work in to the MCU. Again, as we know, again, as we know, Feige listens to us, as proven by Roth coming up with most of their Disney Plus slate. So start to see some of these ideas in production next year. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, hitting bells, clicking icons. I don't know, whatever you have to do to make sure you see our stuff. We really appreciate it, you guys. We have some cool stuff. Speaking of all things Marvel, Sasha Pro Raver over Thanksgiving break did a really great 3-part series for us on how action blockbusters, through a Marvel lens in this case, get made. And if you just want some insight into like how the Thing appeared on your screen, they're really great videos. Highly recommend you check those out. And then let's see here. Sorry, lots of news, so I have to ramble for a second. Tomorrow, we're starting a new show over on Fandom Tabletop called Roll and Keep. It's going to be a live play RPG show. It's going to be super, super fun. It starts on Twitch, and then I think videos will drop on YouTube the following Monday. The setting we're starting off with is called Hammerheads. It's basically like, think emergency rescue teams in movies like Volcano or 2012 or San Andreas. And so super fun, like action-packed, we have to save the world kind of stuff. It's going to be really fun. I'm basically playing Joe Rogan, so I'm pretty excited to just
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I'm playing a libertarian podcaster that thinks that the Hammerhead should be defunded. It's going to be really fun.
Got to go spend a few hours in an isolation tank just to prep, just to get in the right mindset.
Have you ever done ayahuasca?
My favorite character in action movies is the slime ball that either eventually sees the error of their ways, but it's too late, or just gets it real good. Those are like the guy in San Andreas that just gets hit on the Golden Gate Bridge, I think. I love those.
Rainn Wilson in The Meg.
Yes, exactly.
He's funding this $1 billion operation to find a shark for
maybe
profit.
The ultimate Ellis in Die Hard.
Bubby.
I thought you literally meant a slime ball, though. I was thinking, that sounds excellent.
Very Dungeons and Dragons,
Actually, yeah.
It's a large ball of
playing
slime.
A gelatinous cube. No, yeah, just come watch me be as face punchable as possible tomorrow. It's going to be super fun. And then, of course, Lon, not just an honest trailer writer, but also one half of the Binge Boys.
Oh yeah, the Binge Boys. That's my podcast with Hal Rudnick. We watch lots and lots of streaming shows and movies, and then we call each other and yak about them once a week. I'm recording one this afternoon, like very soon after I hang up with this. I'm gonna yell at Hal about some more stuff that we watched this week, including, I think, the end of The Queen's Gambit, because I finally saw that. We're going to talk about The Undoing conclusion, probably Fargo, all the good stuff that they do, that D.B. Cooper documentary on HBO that I was fascinated with. So it's a fun show. It's a little bit of funny, a little bit of here's what to watch on streaming. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever podcasts are sold.
I think all of you have watched The Undoing, and I have not.
Yes.
Do I need to watch The Undoing?
Yeah, it's a quick one. 6 episodes. You'll get right through it.
It's pretty quick. Lots of good performances. Hugh Grant. It's a really good, like we're in like a Hugh Grant-assance right now. Like he was in all these like 90s rom-coms. We all got to know him as kind of the cad. And now he's like reinvented Paddington 2 and The Undoing. He's in all this weird stuff now, doing different kinds of roles, and it's fun to see.
I appreciated that interview he just did where they were like, why did you suddenly vanish? And he was like, I turned into a real stressed out asshole and no one wanted to work with me anymore. I just really appreciated the honesty from Hugh Grant.
I think he felt like he didn't want to work with anybody. I think it was the other way around.
Oh, really? He was just like, I'm done. I'm done with all of you.
Anyway.
But yeah,
I'll never trust anything he says.
That guy used to kind of bug me when he, like, in his first career bump, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch this with Hugh Grant. It sounds delightful.
He's so good in Paddington.
Right. That was really the one where I was like, wait, do I like Hugh Grant? Is he good? It was a very strange experience. But
it was Love Actually for me, man. That good speech and that dance. I like that movie. I'll die for it. Hey guys, Quibi's dead. They flipped the switch. The lights are off. It's officially gone.
The last queeb has been
golden arm.
The golden arm has
they buried it with its golden arm.
They buried Quibi next to its golden arm. Yeah.
So it started in 2019, didn't it? Or was it really this year?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
April 2020 launch. November 2020 explode.
Wow.
Well, guys, as of December 1st, it's no longer operable. Making a quick and quiet end to Katzenberg's ill-fated $1.75 billion quest to carve out his own little corner of the streaming wars. The Quibi app will remain on your device until you delete it, if you're not ready to let go yet.
But however, you can't watch anything. It's like you can't even log in anymore.
No, you can just look at. You can just look at it.
Yes, you can just.
So basically, you can do with it what you've done with it already. Anyway,
scroll right past it.
So we'll memorialize Quibi once and for all a little bit here. I will lead with our very inside baseball story where we tried to do this once when they were like, "Uh-oh, Quibi's going bad," and we went hard with like a "Quibi sucks and it's dead" headline with a thumbnail with like a coffin and candles, and like as we were going live, Quibi was like, "Quibi, it's a person." Just Quibi is Quibi, the entity, was like on a call with our sales team, like, maybe we could give your company money. And our sales team was like, oh my God, please take the coffin off the thumbnail. So that was a fun day.
I like that it's like Quibi is like the old guy from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, like, I'm not quite dead. I will sponsor you this week. Oh, you'll be stone dead in a moment.
Kim, highs, lows from Quibi?
I did actually watch some of a show on Quibi.
I watched a few Quibi shows.
You did, Lon.
Lon, you don't count. No. You watch everything.
Did you watch The Expecting, Lon?
No, I don't even know what that one is.
Well, there you go. So this was, I watched the first 2 episodes of 10 or 11. And this was directed by Mary Harron, who directed American Psycho.
Right. Okay, I do remember this.
So it's kind of a horror thriller, as far as I could gather, about a girl who becomes mysteriously and chillingly pregnant. And you know, I may watch the rest of it because
it's called the Bible.
You can't. It's gone forever. You can't watch the rest of it.
There are plenty of versions of that. And if you want to know what I thought, well, if it were a movie, and this is the thing, that those kind of thriller / horror series that they released were released in kind of 10-minute episodes, and they described them as movies. But told in that way. And I want to immerse myself in a movie. If you've ever watched a film, in little chunks like that, you know, when you stop, you get pulled out of it. And it was the same with these. For me, I only watched 2 episodes, but it didn't ever ratchet the tension up. I expected cliffhangers at the end, and each of those 2 episodes finished as if they were a cliffhanger, but weren't. They just weren't. It didn't make me want to watch more.
Yeah.
Someone would open a door and then they'd fade to black.
Yeah, I felt that they had that Most Dangerous Game series with Christoph Waltz and Hemsworth. I want to say Luke. I could be wrong about which Hemsworth. And I felt exactly the same way. It's like you just started to get sucked in and like, oh, what's going to happen here? And it was really like every scene just gets posted on its own and you get pulled right out of the drama. It's like not a good way to watch that kind of story.
I think Kim raises an interesting point. And this is where I'm genuinely curious about what happens next for the Queebs. For the Queebs that Quibi created.
Right.
Because, you know, what you're describing is cool. Like, the director of American Psycho doing this really weird thriller premise that obviously should have worked better as either a normal miniseries or as a feature. Are they going to fire sale this stuff? You know, like, I mean, is this going to be a weird estate sale where the other streaming services walk through the house and pick out this dead person's stuff? And, you know?
I mean, probably they kind of tried. Like Katzenberg sort of took it out and was like, look, we're going to have to either fold this or sell it. Who wants Quibi? Look at all this content. And everybody was like, pass. I guess... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
As I understand it, the contracts that they had with the creative talent was that they would kind of license the IP for 2 years, and then it returns to the creator's ownership, and they're free to then sell it onto another distributor. So whether that if that's true, then we may have a year or so to wait for those to become available for us to watch, or maybe those deals are just dead in the water now. Maybe we'll see some of that stuff sooner.
I think a year from now, maybe Fandom should make a bid and we could play Golden Arm, you know, in the way it was meant to be seen, which is on YouTube, which is the way any of this stuff was meant to be seen. There already exists a platform for short form, digestible, quick bites, queebs, if you will. You're on it right now. Hello. Hi. This is more or less free. And it seemed to work out fine so far.
The nonfiction, like unscripted stuff on Quibi was so powerfully like YouTube BuzzFeed content from like 2010. Like every single series that went up on Quibi that was unscripted, like there was that one where Titus Burgess hosted it and they would like shoot food at the wall and then a blindfolded chef had to like taste it and figure out what dish it was and then recreate it. That was the show. It was like, we're going to literally shoot food at you out of a cannon and then you go like, I believe that's pesto. And then you cook up and try to recreate it. That's a BuzzFeed video.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of them, a lot of the shows felt like, you know, like some kind of Rick and Morty interdimensional cable thing, like Murder House Flip, like that. Yeah. People worked hard to make episodes of Murder House Flip.
Yeah. Well, it's like Jan Vincent Quadrant 16. When is that debuting on Quibi?
Speaking of weird shows, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Spencer and I's grand disappointment today in discovering in real life. Someone had I'm not setting this up well at all. Someone had tweeted that, you know, what a shame it was that Sparrow House was never able to air on Quibi, which was going to be a reality competition of Jack Sparrow impersonators, and if you drop character, you're out. Which is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Would have signed up for that alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We got punked. We're a little gullible.
We got absolutely punked.
Not real.
Said,
not real.
Here's the curse of trying to be funny once on Twitter. Now someone's going to make that. Someone's going to take that tweeter's idea and they're going to make Sparrow House. This person should have, instead of tweeting, just should have put their energy into making Sparrow House, because that's $1 billion idea right there.
The other thing I think would have given it away for you guys, and I'm surprised you didn't figure it out, was like, how would they have gotten the rights to Jack Sparrow? Like, Disney owns Jack. You can't just have Jack Sparrow impersonators on your reality show and not pay the mouse.
Well, but they're impersonators, so they're not Jack Sparrow. I mean, like, they're on Hollywood Boulevard. Do they have a license from Disney?
No, but those guys are just criminals. No, they don't. As a matter of fact, now that you mention it, arrest that man.
Well, that would have been even better if you to do it sort of off-brand, and it's like unlicensed Caribbean pirate show impersonators.
Yes, I'm Mascara Pirate Man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Mascara Pirate Man.
Hey,
speaking of Mascara Pirate Man, you guys want to answer some questions from chat?
Sure.
They're all Mascara Pirate Man related.
Good.
Adam asks thoughts on Godzilla versus Kong going to streaming. He personally didn't like King of Monsters, but he's more curious sort of how a deal like this is going to further affect the future of blockbusters.
Is it? I didn't hear that. It's going to streaming?
Well, that's the conversation. Netflix made a bid for it.
You're right. $200 million that they rejected. So now they kind of have to make the call on what to do with it. And that's what we're awaiting.
Like, is it also going to go to HBO Max?
Right.
This is like the one movie I want to see on a big screen. Like, if only one movie gets to go to theaters, it should be the huge monsters fighting movie.
You would hope so. Kim, we've talked a lot on this show, about in 2020, all these movies having to go to streaming, versus the big screen, and like how that's going to evolve. Like once we're all vaccinated and everything's perfectly happy again, and all that good stuff. Do you have any thoughts on Wonder Woman going to streaming, the new Godzilla franchise seemingly going to streaming, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love it. I love being able to not leave my home to watch these movies when they're released.
Same.
And I actually find I'd be watching it on my large screen TV, I imagine. But if I was commuting, let's say, in the dim and distant past, I loved getting immersed in my tablet or my phone on whatever movie, even if it was a big budget blockbuster with great special effects. I find that small screen personal experience really immersive. But I do still like watching movies in the cinema, and I'm actually going to see Wonder Woman 84 next week on the big screen over here. So we'll see. The last film I saw at the cinema was Tenet, which was in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Forgot that even happened.
I know.
Tenet opened.
Yeah, I mean, I love both experiences, and I feel as inside my instinct is joy that I can see it in my home first.
Yeah, I also never want to leave these four walls, and am perfectly excited to watch Wonder Woman in my living room.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, Soul, Mulan. I was fine with all those at home, but I want to see the lizard and the monkey fight on the big screen. I don't think that's too much to ask.
I do too. I would also like to see the lizard and the monkey fight on big screen. I hope that they can just delay until I think we can, with some confidence, say that we can see movies safely again by the end of next year. So I don't see why they can't just wait unless they're just so over leveraged. And I'm just surprised that there isn't, I guess, more experimentation with premium VOD pricing and stuff like that, because I know Mulan was a big disappointment, I think, by most measures, but you had to sign up for Disney Plus, you had to pay $30 on top of that, and the movie wasn't very good. So I'm surprised that maybe these blockbusters like Godzilla vs. Kong couldn't avoid Netflix and sell it directly, for $20 a pop, but you don't have to sign up for a streaming service and you own it once you buy it. So I'm a little disappointed that more people aren't trying more different things with these big budget movies. And I think that's just because Mulan didn't do well. And that's too bad, because we should give more than one movie a shot with this method.
I mean, I think it's also that a lot of the studios have streaming. Like for Warner Media, they don't want to put Wonder Woman up and make the money on it. They want to drive you. They need you to go to HBO Max. They got to drive eyeballs to HBO Max. So Legendary, it's a little bit of an in-between situation where they don't have a streaming service they need to support, or else it would just go there. So that's why I think that's the kind of movie that they're in a weird gray zone where it's well, maybe sell to Netflix, or maybe, as you're saying, do a premium VOD offer, or maybe just wait, that's when it's more of a decision to be made, as opposed to just obviously throw that on Disney Plus. There it goes,
Yeah. Hey, we got, let's close out with this question. This is kind of a fun one. James Bunt asks, you have carte blanche to start a new movie franchise. what actor, an actress, or two actors or two actresses or whatever, who headlines, who stars? So I guess a way to translate this one is like, what's just like an actor you're like, I want them in the spotlight. That's who I would trust to kind of like lead the way.
I mean, the thing is, I think modern movie making has proven that like it doesn't matter that much. Like we've left the era of movie stars being able to open a movie on name recognition alone, and the franchise is so much more important. So come back to me while I think of who you'd actually tune in just to watch sight unseen. You have no idea what the movie's about.
I've got some thoughts. For the ladies, I thought Kristen Stewart was great in that Charlie's Angels movie, and it made me want to see her in more of those kinds of roles in big, globe-trotting action heist espionage movies. I just didn't think the movie was that good, so I would love to take her surgically out of that and put her in something better, but with the same kind of vibe and feel. I also feel like Daniel Kaluuya works in a lot of he's in a lot of these dramas and smaller movies, but he's got such an intense energy and so much charisma. I'd love to put him in like a bigger blowout actiony franchise sort of thing. So there's my duo.
I'll echo Kristen Stewart. Did you guys see Underwater? They just dropped that on HBO Max too. It's pretty fun. It's worth a night. TJ Miller dies in a very enjoyable way, so that's good. But she gives off like huge Ellen Ripley vibes in that.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Like 2020 new Ellen Ripley vibes in that movie. And I think she was rad in that. So
she's in a pretty funny holiday rom-com on Hulu.
Very good.
Right.
Happiest happiest holidays
season.
Yeah.
She did not end up with the correct person.
Very upset.
I'm very frustrated by that.
Very pro-Aubrey.
That other girl sucked. I mean, the character of that other girl sucked.
Kim, did you see what's her favorite holiday? What's it called?
Happiest Holidays,
Happiest
I think.
Season.
It has it.
Happiest Season.
I haven't watched it.
Watch it. Don't let the sort of bland Hallmark movie name fool you. It's actually really fun, and there's a lot of really talented people in it. And then you let us know if Kristen Stewart ended up with the right person.
I will, but I do love a bland Hallmark Christmas movie.
Then you'll love this one. It's that with a little bit extra.
Yeah, it's like a tweak on that formula. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like A-list talent doing a Hallmark movie,
right?
And it's really good. Kim, do you have an actor or actress thought?
I do. I was holding back, although this immediately came to mind when you asked, because it's an IP very close to my heart, and they ballsed it up when they attempted to have a go at it recently, and that's Gem and the Holograms, and I would put Britney Spears in that role and her acting career.
Yes.
Wow.
Free Britney.
Bold.
Free Britney.
Yeah, bold pitch. I like it.
So thinking about it, I would do Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, but then I realized I'm just pitching Dune, which I think is not even going to do well, despite everyone in love with them. So maybe Zendaya and Kissing Booth, because they
Joey King?
No,
Jacob Elordi?
Jacob Elordi, yes, because they were like on and off again, so people would tune in just for the drama.
Right.
Spencer, I appreciate that you somehow merged a smarmy business decision with pure creative intent, and I just applaud you for it.
So that's movie magic is another word for that, Joe.
Movie magic, baby. Let's get the UK Sun involved. That's our show. I think we solved Daredevil. We threw out some great talent, and I think we've properly buried Quibi officially on this channel until something weird happens, and the barking dog from Movie Pass somehow digs it back up. And if that happens, we'll be talking about it right here.
Dream Gotti only on Quibi.
What? Bury us with our golden arms. Bye, guys.